Would like to be able to view the press conference regarding the tragedy on the plane from Wichita. Senator Marshall.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Kennedy, for your kind words this morning, for your caring text last night, and I'm grateful for all my colleagues, most everybody reaching out to us, and it's certainly it's a tough day for Kansans and many others who lost loved ones, and we will look forward meeting with the president later today and those loved ones, and just want everyone back home to know that we're wrapping our arms around them, that we're mourning with them, and we'll get through this together. So thank you. Mr. Kennedy, take a second and just describe why fighting chronic disease is so important to you. Who are we fighting for? What is your role as HHS Secretary, and is there anything that's a bigger priority to you than this as you go into this role?
Thank you, Senator. When I was a 10-year-old boy, my uncle was in the White House. The chronic disease among American children was 2%. Today, it's 66%. The cost of chronic disease to our country when my uncle was president was zero. There were not even treatments for chronic disease at that time. Today, the cost is $4.45 trillion. It is bankrupting our country. 77% of American kids can't qualify for military service. 38% of teens, according to NIH's last report, which was 3 weeks ago, 38% are diabetic or pre-diabetic. When my uncle was president, the typical pediatrician would 1 or 2 cases of diabetes in his lifetime, juvenile diabetes. Today, it's more than a third of the kids who walk through his door or her door is diabetic or pre-diabetic. Autism rates have gone from 1 in 10,000 or 1 in 1,500 to 1 in 10,000, depending on what study you look at. In my generation, as 70-year-old men today, in our children, it's 1 in 34. The explosion, I had 11 siblings. I had dozens of first cousins.
Mr. Kennedy, I'm sorry. So, who are we? What's your role as HHS Secretary to fight that disease?
There's never been an HHS Secretary who came in to do this. It was all about the typical partisan debate about how we allocate the cost, whether insurers pay it or whether hospitals, providers, or families pay it. And the costs continue to rise. All the things we're debating on, our kids are getting sicker and sicker.
Yeah, just to quote you from yesterday, it's like we're moving the chairs on the Titanic.
Yeah, and the ship is sinking, and nobody's paying attention to it. And yesterday, I got question after question from the Democrats about measles. In 1963, the year before the measles epidemic, or the measles vaccine was introduced, 500 American kids died from measles, almost all of them extremely poor and malnourished. We have 252 million Americans who are suffering from chronic disease, and none of them mentioned diabetes. They didn't mention heart disease. They didn't mention cancers yesterday. We need to refocus if we're going to save our country. This is existential. Our country's not going to be destroyed because we get the marginal tax rate wrong.
Right.
It is going to be destroyed if we get this issue wrong. And I am in a unique position to be able to stop this epidemic.
Mr. Kennedy, I want to just contribute as one of the 3 physicians on here, and even as I listen to my friends across the aisle, my conclusion is that we have to guard the physician-patient relationship and give those parents of these kids the information. All 3 of us are going to disagree on exactly who should and shouldn't get a particular vaccine. We all recognize the incredible successes of different vaccines as well, but we have to give the American public the best information, non-biased information, and I'd love to get you to respond to that, but I have an important question for folks back home. And this will be my last question. I've never seen a person whose words, written and spoken, have been so misattributed, exaggerated, sensationalized, and taken out of context. Will you just speak to my farmers and ranchers back home and tell me about your, where do they fit in this role of MAHA and how we're going to work with them, and just your compassion towards these farmers and ranchers.
I mean, Maha will not succeed without the cooperation and partnership of agricultural producers, of farmers and ranchers across this country. I was a 4-H kid. I grew up working on ranches. And I've worked for years representing farmers in various forms of litigation. Thomas Jefferson said that American democracy is rooted in tens of thousands of independent freeholds owned by farmers. We are losing farmers today, and we can't afford to lose a single farmer. And on my watch, I do not want to lose a single farmer. We have to offer farmers an off-ramp from chemically intensive agriculture, which they don't want to do, which even the chemical industry is ready to change, so that they can grow crops that they can sell in Europe. They can grow crops. Senator Hawley told me during our meeting that 4 out of his 5 of his brother-in-laws have Parkinson's. There's illness all over the farm community, and it's undoubtedly related to the intensity of chemical pesticides.
Mr. Kennedy.
We need to reduce that, but I'm not going to do anything to coerce the farmer. President Trump was the best president in modern American history for the American farmer. The first one to see farm prices go up. He has instructed me to take care of the farmers and make sure